One night, my childhood sweetheart posted an ambiguous photo with a goddess on social media. I quickly replied, "Are you planning to make breakfast for 2 tomorrow morning? Don't you have a life of your own?" Later on, he called me 8 times in one day. During the final call, a man pressed the speakerphone button and said, "Doesn't he have a life of his own? Tell him to get lost." There was a roar on the other end of the call. "Sophia, which wild man dares to speak to me like this? Does he know who my brother is?" Of course, he knew, because he was the man himself. I was a well-bred and obedient girl from a wealthy family. I had been circling around Playboy Daniel like a nanny since I could remember. I did his laundry, cooked for him, helped him revise his essays, and wrote elective assignments for him. I secretly helped him write various high-level planning cases behind the backs of my elders, and helped him compete for favor within the family. Finally, with my relentless efforts, Daniel became a standout among the younger generation. He flaunted one lover after another, while I became known to everyone as a love-struck and longtime backup without a man to rely on. But they didn't know that all of this was because I was the protagonist of the novel that made the Playboy change his ways, and Daniel was the male lead. There were only 2 ways to break free from the constraints of the plot and regain complete control over my own life. One was to quietly follow the plot until Daniel truly changed his ways and settled down for me. The other was to bind the backup system until the task value reached 100%. I chose the latter without hesitation. So, when Daniel posted a suggestive photo with the goddess Susan on his social media that night, I quickly commented, "Are you planning to make breakfast for 2 tomorrow morning?" Soon, there was a notification on Daniel's profile picture, "Sophia, don't you have a life of your own? Deliver everything to my doorstep at 9 a.m. sharp tomorrow morning, and send me the completed presentation PPT and lecture manuscript without knocking on the door." "Okay," I obediently replied. Daniel then screenshot our conversation and shared it in a group chat, sparking a round of mockery. At the same time, a metallic sound resonated in my mind, congratulating me that the task value was full and the plot restrictions were lifted. "Host, you are free now." After a brief mental shutdown, I opened the company documents that Daniel had sent me earlier. I wrote some formal greetings at the beginning and end, and pasted a paragraph of a novel script in the middle. Then, I ordered 2 breakfasts for the next morning through an app, specifically instructing the restaurant to include as many peanuts as possible. Finally, I turned to look at my reflection in the mirror. I had put on a meek and innocent makeup, covered my face with black-rimmed glasses, and wore a plain ankle-length skirt that concealed my figure entirely, all because Daniel said he liked girls who were reserved and obedient, not too flashy. This way, he would feel safe. For more than a decade, I had obediently complied, erasing my personality and edges, and completely living as Daniel's follower. It was truly a waste with such a stunning face that could captivate anyone. I rummaged through my wardrobe and finally found a red suspender dress at the bottom of the box. I took off my glasses, tousled my stiff hair, and applied my favorite heavy makeup. The butler on the side was slightly surprised. "What have you done to yourself? Daniel won't like this. I don't care what he likes. I won't be the protagonist of the novel that makes a playboy change his ways." The pulsating music in the bar intensified my heartbeat. The bartender's hands swirled in the air, pouring clear night into my stomach, evoking an unbearable burning sensation. A message arrived on my phone, from Daniel's brother William, with just 3 simple words, "Are you okay?" I knew he was referring to the situation where Daniel was getting close to my best friend. People are strange. When hurt, they can bravely endure it alone, laughing it off no matter what happens. But when someone tenderly comforts them, their unbreakable armor instantly crumbles. Overwhelmed with a sense of grievance, it felt as if, in an instant, I had turned into a child waiting at the kindergarten gate for their parents to pick them up. Although my feelings for Daniel were the result of plot manipulation, they had entwined my entire youth, subjecting me to ridicule and disdain. It wasn't easy at all, and it was impossible to feel nothing. I read the message over and over again. I carefully replied, "Daniel is always like this. It's not the first time. I'm fine, not heartbroken, not unable to eat, not depressed, and definitely not crying under my blanket in despair." Afraid that my response wasn't strong enough, I added, "Please don't be mad at Daniel because of this, and whatever you do, don't hit his back with a ruler. He can't stand the pain, and don't use a whip with thorns, and definitely don't dip it in salt water." After sending the message, I felt a lot better, and casually liked 8 male models' profiles. 1, 2, 3, 9? Was there a 8+1 deal? I rubbed my eyes, intending to count again, when I suddenly heard a deep and pleasant voice from above. "It's your first time here. Don't drink such strong alcohol." I looked up and met a pair of beautiful eyes, like a whirlpool, deep and intoxicating. The man, who seemed to have rushed over right after work, was dressed in a suit and shoes, exuding a strong aura of authority. Although his expression was gentle, it carried an invisible pressure of dominance. The prayer beads on his wrist added a touch of untouchable chill. The other 8 male models stayed far away from him. It seemed as though the alcohol had reached my head, as I stared mesmerized at the handsome man before me, forgetting to even blink after not seeing each other for a while. Did you not recognize me? The man's slightly red lips curved into a wistful smile, as if in self-mockery. William, I softly called out. A few of the male models sensed the tension and quickly excused themselves with a smile. We should go now, I instinctively replied. He's my brother. Upon hearing the word brother, William raised his thin eyelids, a hint of unidentified emotion fleeting across his face. The leader of the male models made an okay gesture and nodded. We understand. First, he's the brother, then he might be the father, and maybe later he'll be the dog? Leave. The man's voice was low, but it sent shivers down everyone's spines. Okay, the male models meekly nodded their heads and left. The secluded atmosphere in the private room returned, and my heart raced at an accelerated pace. My relationship with William, beyond the public eye where I was considered his brother's backup, had another layer. William, he had once been someone who admired me, to be precise. It was more of a secret admiration, but just as this affection began to blossom, I destroyed it myself, because William was merely a secondary character in the novel. According to the plot, the female lead's heart and eyes only belonged to the male lead, so even someone as proud as William was always neglected and treated coldly by me. He was just a prop in showcasing the unwavering love of the female lead towards Daniel. Sometimes, because of his sternness towards Daniel, I would speak harshly to him, even venting all the frustrations I experienced from Daniel onto him. I watched the beautiful light in his eyes gradually extinguish under my harsh words. Several times, when I wanted to break free from the plot, the system would intervene, warning. Host, he is just a supporting character. Please do not interact with him excessively. Unable to control my actions, I would scream internally, what supporting character? He's my unseen husband. If you break our marital bond, you'll incur the wrath of the heavens. What did my brother do wrong for you to scold him like this? How can you yell at him like that? Tell me, what kind of plot is this? Is the female lead blind? Host, please do not speak of yourself that way. In his eyes, my image was already intolerably poor. Now I had added another label to it, being a liar. Didn't you say you were home? Why are you here? You're going to get scolded for this. It seemed a lecture was about to begin. Brother, I have a headache. I stood up to reach for William's sleeve. Perhaps I moved too quickly as the left strap of my dress couldn't bear the weight and snapped. When I was still under the influence of the plot, I would have felt embarrassed and ashamed, believing I had let Daniel down, and would have redirected my anger towards William, crying and blaming him. But now, I felt a divine intervention. Brother, can you help me tie this up? I took a step forward, and William's perpetually calm voice betrayed a hint of panic, yet he firmly refused. Sophia, you're drunk. I'll have the nanny come pick you up. Just then, Daniel's group of friends and Susan's voice could be heard outside the door. Someone had mentioned they saw Sophia ordering 8 male models' profiles at the bar. How is that possible? She's usually so timid. She can't even look at a man's face directly, Susan pitifully said. Daniel, do you think Sophia is mad at me? I messaged her, but she didn't reply. As they continued talking, they reached the door of the private room. Just a moment ago, William, who had been avoiding me like the plague, quickly took off his suit jacket and draped it over my shoulders, the faint smell of sandalwood lingering at the tip of my nose. The door was pushed open, and Daniel and his friends entered one after the other. Upon seeing me with William, Daniel was momentarily stunned, then a smirk appeared on his face. Sophia, I never expected that you would go as far as bringing my brother here just to stop me from being with Susan. You think my brother, who is always busy with work, would waste time playing such childish games with you? The wealthy friends behind him nodded in agreement. Daniel and Susan sat on the sofa, flirting without any reservations. I didn't feel the embarrassment and desire to disappear into the ground as in the original plot. Instead, I watched with interest the interaction between the two who had not officially established a relationship yet, feeling jealous. Are we? Daniel opened a bottle of wine and poured it into a glass, pushing it towards me like teasing a pet. Here's your chance, feed me. Susan playfully smacked him and Daniel whispered something in her ear. Though I couldn't hear it, I knew the content because it was a scene from the original book. However, William was not part of the original plot, he said. Don't worry, Sophia is uninteresting and rigid. She wouldn't dare. So, later on, Susan took a sip of the wine, kissed him, and they professed their feelings for each other while everyone cheered and celebrated. Meanwhile, I ran out like a fool, feeling lost and disoriented, ending up tripping into a drain, making it to the headlines and becoming the laughingstock of the city. And this was just another of Daniel's tactics to win over his goddess. Every time I read this scene, I'm amazed by the author's twisted imagination. How could a master's graduate from a top university end up living in such a low-intelligence novel? The other brothers were still teasing. Sophia, you've been looking forward to this day for so long. It's such a rare opportunity that Daniel is in a good mood today. Come on, give him a kiss. I picked up the wine glass and took a sip lightly. Daniel raised his eyebrows, seemingly surprised by my actions, and a hint of anticipation flickered in his eyes. Meanwhile, William quietly walked towards the door, seemingly wanting to leave. Ignoring the bewildered looks of the crowd, I intercepted William, stood on tiptoes, and kissed him. His lips were slightly cool, soft, and as soon as they touched, they were engulfed. The surrounding area was filled with gasps of shock. The society ladies who secretly admired William stared at me intensely, as if trying to burn a hole through me. Wait, wasn't Sophia supposed to be a cowardly waste who liked Daniel? What's going on here? Someone else chimed in. Did you notice how different Sophia looks today compared to before? Is it a new trend to wear a men's suit with a tight red dress? She's so pretty and elegant, much better looking than that Susan. When did Daniel's eyes go blind? I heard Susan comes from a poor family, and Sophia supported her through university, only for Susan to turn around and seduce the person her friend liked, Daniel. Susan biting her lip, tears shimmering in her eyes. Daniel's face turned pale, ignoring Susan and striding towards me. Sophia, have you lost your mind to dare touch my brother? He's not someone you can mess with. Instead of letting go, I embraced William's waist and boldly declared, Daniel, whoever I like and want to pursue has nothing to do with you. Sophia, have you had enough fun? Daniel gritted his teeth. If you don't come with me now, don't ever expect to see me again. My eyes lit up. Sounds like a good deal. Amidst the laughter of the crowd, Daniel's arm trembled as he reached out to grab me, only to be halted midair by a long, strong hand. The man's tone was cold and unwavering. Don't touch her, dude. Daniel's face turned ashen. I thought you hated girls who throw themselves at you, and have you forgotten how she treated you before? Ignoring him, William calmly scanned the room with a polite yet distant smile. Apologies for the disturbance, everyone. I'll cover all expenses today. Enjoy yourselves. Sophia and I are leaving. The crowd erupted in excitement. Are you and William dating, Sophia? I don't know what games you're playing today, or how you've managed to confuse my brother, but once you walk out that door, don't come back crying to me. Daniel looked at me, his eyes filled with disbelief but exuding confidence. After playing the role of a desired man for over a decade, Daniel assumed I would never leave him. He thought of himself as the main character, always surrounded by a halo of light. I pointed to Susan sobbing in the corner. You should be more concerned about your own goddess. In the original book, once Susan and Daniel parted ways, her first move was to seduce William, and she succeeded. Thinking about this, my disdain for Daniel increased even further. A male lead who couldn't even hold on to his own wife, once stripped of his halo, what could he possibly do? William allowed me to embrace him all the way to the car. I'll take you home. If I hadn't seen the faint blush on his ears that seemed on the verge of bleeding, I might have believed that he was as calm and composed as he appeared. After years of effort, finally having fate in my hands, I couldn't allow myself to miss out on the person I truly cared for. Mustering up courage, I coquettishly said, Brother, I want to go to your place. William touched his prayer beads, a slight smirk playing on his lips, the quirk of his eyebrows under the dim car lights carrying an indescribable allure. It made people's hearts tremble. Sophia, aren't you curious about me? After a while, his voice husky, William spoke. With my head bowed, cheeks flushed from the sun, I gathered the courage to respond. If you let me give it a try, I won't be curious anymore. William hesitated for a moment, then raised his hand. I thought he was going to slap me, but instead, he gently ruffled my hair. You're in your teenage years. It's normal to have thoughts about boys. I heard you like Daniel. Seizing the opportunity, I grabbed his hand, explaining with a hint of nervousness. Don't listen to them. I only have special thoughts about you. I have heartfelt affection. Brother, can you not get married? Seeing that he was still somewhat stable, I tentatively asked. The elders had been spreading the news of an impending engagement in the Song family these days, making me feel uneasy, almost losing my position as the top ranked within my age group. I can consider it if you get into university. William retracted his hand, only to be enveloped in a forceful hug from me, burrowing my head into his white shirt. Almost commandingly, I pleaded, Big brother, it's a promise, you have to wait for me, in The end, I did manage to get into his alma mater as desired, and he continued to reject several alliance offers from wealthy families, remaining single. When asked, he'd say he was already reserved by a young girl. During that time, the whole city speculated on which fortunate heiress was the girl William spoke of, but due to the corrected plot, I no longer called him brother, rejected his advances, and even pined for Daniel in his presence. Brother, I'm sorry. William slowly parked the car in front of my house and helped me undo the seatbelt. Sophia, don't say these 3 words to me. I don't want to hear them. It was my own willingness to be foolish. You never owe anyone an apology. In the following days, even though I didn't go to William's house, I applied and got a job at their company with the top scores in the interview and written test. Soon, this news spread like wildfire in the socialite circle. Daniel, you said Sophia would come crying to beg you, right? Daniel, I feel like Sophia doesn't seem to like you that much. She wasn't affected at all by that incident last time. On the day of the interview, my sister was present. She told me that Sophia was very strong. She even asked me why everyone said she was useless. Not long after, Daniel's message came, "Are you free tonight? Let's talk." In the original plot, I gave up my job opportunities and successes to better take care of Daniel. I always let him shine and succeed, but in turn, he found fault with me for not having the ability, not having my own life, being indifferent to me, and even humiliating me. Now I completely ignore him, and he starts to pursue me. I have plans, no time. This should be the first time I've actively refused Daniel. During the afternoon briefing meeting, I turned the corner and ran into Daniel and Susan. Susan's true nature was exposed, and she glared at me fiercely, gesturing for me to leave. Unaware, I greeted her warmly. "Susan, when are you and your boyfriend getting married? Remember to invite me to the wedding." A colleague nearby whispered to remind me, "Daniel and Susan are not together." I patted Daniel on the shoulder. "Work hard, okay? Come with me." Daniel grabbed me and dragged me to the corner pantry, closing the door behind us. "What are you doing?" I looked at him calmly. Daniel looked me up and down, slowly approaching. "Sophia, this is what you want, right? What?" The next moment, I was pressed against the wall by a huge force, Daniel holding my chin, his suggestive gaze slowly moving downward. I couldn't help but laugh. "Daniel, in your eyes, is a girl's effort just to please men, at least for you, isn't it?" "Daniel," as the distance between us narrowed, I slowly closed my eyes, and just as the oppressive atmosphere was about to intensify, William's fist traced out a blurred shadow. Daniel awkwardly fell to the ground, wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth, his voice trembling. "Brother," after shouting, he suddenly turned to look at me. "Sophia, you saw my brother coming a long time ago, didn't you?" I squeezed out a few tears. Clutching William's arm, looking indignant, Daniel's eyes filled with disbelief. William took a step forward, scaring Daniel to scramble out of the pantry. "Brother, I'll go to the meeting first." Outside the door, there were many onlookers. After being dragged into the pantry by Daniel, I immediately sent a message to the company group chat saying there were free snacks available at the pantry on the 2nd floor. The cleaning lady and company employees witnessed Daniel's most embarrassed state after his moment of bravado. A new friend at the company, Mike, sent a message. "Sophia, the photos are ready and sent to my media friends. I don't know if it will make the headlines, but it should stir up some discussion. Thank you." Although the scene where I fell into the sewer didn't play out in the original plot, I remembered this grudge. Daniel's presentations probably won't last long. He's used to relying on my writing, never studying in advance. As expected, there was a burst of laughter in the meeting room just now. Mike sent a message. I laughed until my stomach hurt. "What did you write in Daniel's presentation PPT? Let me screenshot a segment for you." Sure enough, it's explosive as I selected. In the meeting room, Daniel was still frantically apologizing. Some elders frowned. "Daniel, even if someone played a prank, why can't you offer any insights on what you did yourself?" Daniel broke out in a cold sweat, but couldn't say a word. The board members were all sharp observers, and at that moment, they immediately understood what was going on. "I thought you just liked to play around, but you do have some abilities. I never expected you to be such a disappointment." After the farce ended, I suggested to William that we should go somewhere to relax, and he did not refuse. But the atmosphere around us was very tense. "Sophia, were all of Daniel's proposals written by you for him?" I didn't want to lie, so I just nodded. "It was not my intention, and I won't do it in the future." William remained silent, repeatedly watching his fist as he cleaned the bloodstains. If the meeting room hadn't been crowded with people, I had no doubt that he would have rushed over and punched Daniel a couple more times. Silent all the way, as we reached the underground parking lot, I raised my hand to my waist and coughed a couple of times. Mike, hiding between 2 cars, shook his head at me as I was about to walk over. I signaled him to quickly hand me the thing. Seeing my determined gaze, Mike nodded with a look of resignation. A few seconds later, I felt myself holding a pole. I couldn't help but wonder, are roses this thick nowadays? but I still aggressively held it up to my chest. William, I love you. William looked up, staring at the plunger in my hand. I was taken aback, turning to look at Mike, but he had already disappeared. I gave 2 dry laughs and went on to say the rest of the sentence. I love unclogging toilets, so, brother, take me to your place, and I'll give you a performance, or we can go to my place. Okay, I'll take you to my place. William's quick acceptance caught me off guard, so when I emerged from the shower wearing William's t-shirt, it felt somewhat unreal, afraid that it was all a dream. Brother, I smiled sweetly, ensuring that every eyebrow was perfectly arched. Go to bed, the guest room is ready. William looked up at me, then back to his book. He didn't question why I wasn't wearing the bathrobe he bought, nor did he scold me for wearing his clothes recklessly like he used to when we were kids. Brother, do successful people like to read books upside down? I reminded with a mischievous smile. William closed the book abruptly, fiddling with his prayer beads, a small gesture of nervousness. I stood in front of him persistently. Brother, I'm in pain. The man finally raised his head. Where? My heart hurts. Can you check if it's still beating? Saying that, I went to William's side, grabbed his hand, and slowly brought it close to my heart. Sophia, do you know what you're doing? William gently pulled back his hand, his usually dark and cool eyes suppressing something deeply. I'm a normal man in my 30s. Don't do things you'll regret. Why would I regret it? I like you, William. I like you. How long does this like of yours last? 3 days? A week? Or a month? William closed the book, chuckling softly. At this moment, the towering William seemed like a pitiful puppy abandoned countless times. Sophia, you never truly see me in your eyes, do you? You are the female lead, and I am just a supporting role in your life. The emotions of a supporting role, insignificant and inconsequential, pick up at any time, and can be discarded at will. I hastened to explain. William, it's not like that. It turns out he knew everything, that not only me but others who awoke desperately tried to escape the plot too. William slightly curled his lips. I've tried to sincerely wish you and Daniel well, but I couldn't. Even if it's impossible, I still like you. You cried so falsely today, but at that moment when I saw your tears, I couldn't help but want to agree to all your requests. I am a businessman, I emphasize benefits, I seek returns, but with you, it seems like I've never had any boundaries. Was he confessing to me? Sophia, I'm at your mercy. William's slightly calloused fingertips rubbed my lip, telling me, how long do you intend to play this time? I'll accompany you, forever, I said, and then leaned down, gently tapping his forehead. William, you are not a supporting role. The plot limits you, but it also limits me. But you are my male lead, the person I will love no matter what, always. Trust me, this time it's real. After a brief eye contact, the emotions and desires in William's eyes surged uncontrollably. I hooked his tie, leading him into the bedroom. With a gentle push, William sank into the soft quilt. Along with him, my whole will succumbed to the irresistible desire. He looked up, a few buttons of his shirt loose, revealing his alluring collarbone. He weakened his usually austere and repressed demeanor, his voice tinged with a smile. Sophia, what are you doing? I looked down at him, playing with you. The man's fingertips, earlobes, and neck began to blush slightly. Sophia, this is the real you. I grinned wickedly. Yes, now it's too late to regret. You can scream your lungs out, but no one will come to save you. William appeared as if to be asking to be taken. I like you. I like you no matter what you look like. When I was touched and stunned, William suddenly exerted force. We changed positions and he pressed me underneath him. Feeling triumphant. Sophia, where did Daniel touch you? Today? I was kissed until tears welled up in the corners of my eyes, gasping for air in between, but I couldn't help teasing. Is Big Brother jealous? I thought William would innocently refute me with a few words, but unexpectedly, he suddenly rubbed his fluffy head against me, jealous to the point of going crazy. Can I make it up to you? William gently kissed away the tears in the corner of my eye, his deep voice naturally seductive. Even though neither of us had much experience, why was this man able to be so proficient on his own? I couldn't help but nod, my face flushing, and I sniffled. Sophia, you're starting to cry already. What will we do later? I didn't know what to do. The bedroom lights stayed on all night. The next day, I was woken up by Daniel's call. There were a total of 7 missed calls. By the 8th call, William had just put on his shirt, his firm waistline flashing by, and he answered on speakerphone. Doesn't he have a life of his own? Tell him to go away. The other end fell silent for a while, then erupted in a rage. Sophia, how dare that wild man talk to me like that? Does he even know who my brother is? The anger on the other end escalated even further. Sophia, are you even a woman? Are you deliberately messing with me? Dressing like that every day and hanging out with some wild man? Hang up. Wait, Sophia, can you come to my house this weekend? My parents want to invite you to dinner, and I have something to tell you as well. Daniel's tone suddenly became gentle, even a bit shy. No need. You just want to say that you suddenly realized that you actually like me, right? Were you in that group? Did you see all of that before? Even through the phone, I could imagine the pale look on Daniel's face right now. Daniel, although love is innocent, you are too dirty. I hung up the phone, realizing my eyes were a bit swollen. William brought over an ice pack. Boss, does this count as a work injury? William's hand hesitated, his tone somewhat tender. I'll make something delicious later to make you feel better, I coquettishly said. Why not let me take a day off? William averted his gaze. I'll go check if the coffee is ready. News of William dating began to spread in the company. Employees were privately discussing who the boss's lady was. Ever since Daniel's true abilities were exposed and he was ordered by his father to go home to reflect, Susan had been mocking him every day in the office, saying that Daniel was far inferior to his brother. The nearby colleagues immediately sensed the gossip brewing. Susan, aren't you with the big boss? Susan touched up her foundation while shyly covering her mouth and laughing. Don't spread rumors. Everyone was getting shy. Who didn't know that she was the closest girl to the two brothers? Don't forget about us. Help us speak nicely in front of the big boss. Mike rolled his eyes. Susan, did I upset you in any way? Susan walked over to Mike's desk. Mike, no, I'm learning to bark. The colleagues who were just flattering Susan turned hostile to defend her. Then go ahead and learn. Mike cleared his throat. Then you go ahead and learn. After a while, the girl realized what was happening and was about to say something. A colleague at the door waved his hands. Stop arguing. Quick, the boss is coming. Susan and the others had no choice but to begrudgingly return to their seats. The atmosphere in the office suddenly became tense and quiet. Only the light footsteps of William walking could be heard. When he reached my desk, the sound stopped. Susan smirked as she watched me hurriedly tidy up the sketches for my lunch break. William, Sophia usually likes to draw. That's why she never finishes her work. I tried to stop William from picking up one of the drawings. But it was too late. Susan continued to incite. Don't let him see. Who knows what indecent thing she's drawing? William pointed to the image in the middle of the paper between the girl and boy. Is this our future child? It's a child. Mike couldn't help but laugh. Susan, were you saying that William and his wife's child is something indecent? William put down the drawing, took out a lipstick from his pocket, and handed it to me. You left this in my office. You came here just to return the lipstick? Why not have the secretary give it to me directly? William picked up a pen and wrote a few words on the paper. Nothing, just missing you. After William left that day, Susan's face turned green. She ended up taking 2 weeks off in a row. On the weekend, I went to William's house. When forced to study, Daniel was surprised to see me. Sophia, did you come for me as well? It's not easy for someone to always maintain 200% self-confidence. His mother jokingly tapped Daniel's head. Nonsense, she's your brother's fiancée. I ignored Daniel's stunned gaze and went to his room holding William's arm. There was a photo on the table, 16-year-old me, in a school uniform, smiling brightly at the camera, but in reality, it was a candid photo of me secretly taking a picture of the boy working diligently behind me. Remember that? It was the first time we met. You told your classmate you wanted to kiss me. I was somewhat surprised. You heard that? 16-year-old Sophia, experiencing her first rush of emotions, encountered the first person she fell for. 26-year-old Sophia finally held that person's hand, the plot line of unwavering love that could never be erased.